We are live. Better double check. Let's see my page. Let us. All right, here we go. We are on. This is the American Legion Show. Your host, Kevin White. I love that music, don't you? I sure do. Anyway, we are now live. We are on Local Radio. Now, what's going on in the world tonight? My host is me, and the guest is Mr. Darren White, and he'll be on any minute now, and maybe bring us on into. We're going to talk about what's going on overseas, because it's crazy over there now. It's getting crazy. All that money to Ukraine, money to Israel, all that stuff, is it really necessary? Do we have to bomb things in other countries like, I don't know, Iran, the great Satan of the West? Who are we? Who's causing this? I don't know. So my original guest for tonight couldn't make it because he's got the Rona. So I don't think you can get it through the screen. And nope. But I wish him the best. So, and I've been having all kinds of Facebook problems and everything. So finally got everything back up. However, I don't think I can change it. Those things I cannot change. Here. Anyway, welcome to the American Legion Show, and I thank all our fans for watching. That we really have our Patriot Nation Radio, the best real talk. Anyway, so on Monday night, we may have a new guest host. The guy you're going to see tonight will possibly take on over. And matter of fact, I think he's arriving now. I think I have to go to the airport and pick him up. I see here. So I'm going to turn the music down. Hello, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Mr. Darren White. We have the same last name. Isn't that funny? It's not really funny.
White Brothers.
That's right.
White Brothers Studios.
Exactly. So I was telling the audience, I don't think I'm on right now. I'll take care of that later. I'll just play it tomorrow or something. But the radio audience is on, and we have a lot of fans there, and I thank you, all you guys, for tuning in every Wednesday at 7:00. Anyway, I was just talking about things that are happening across the pond. You know what I mean? There's so many things happening. Is it necessary to have us over there? Are we supposed to be here, or you give money to Ukraine and we give money to Israel and to the migrants? And what are your thoughts on that? And why are we so involved?
Well, that's a historical process that we've gotten ourselves into. And if you look back into history and you look back to World War I, we were very much against getting into a European war. And people were just absolutely against it. And then they sank the Lusitania. And oh no, now you got me mad. Now we're coming over. And when we came over, we made a difference and helped end World War I, right? So that was a good thing. And then we went back isolationists. We said we don't want to ever be involved with another European war. Well, then we pull back and hide ourselves away from, in a sense, keep ourselves away from any major participation other than, providing arms and ships and stuff that were old to England. And we said we're not going to get involved in World War II, right? And even before that all happened, we had not really developed our army. We were I don't know, it was definitely less than 1 million. I think it was like 250,000 total soldiers.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Not ready for anything, any war, even one at our borders. So, and then December 7th happened. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Everybody was ready for the fight now. Okay. Everybody thought, this is my duty. And I will go and I will fight and defend freedom from the Nazis and the Japanese and the Italians, who were all joined together and said, we're going to end this. We're going to bring back freedom. We're going to do this. And we did it. And with the help of a lot of other countries, Canada and the English held off, for a long time until we arrived, and we were able to make the turn. Okay, so we again defended freedom so that the world could live in peace and prosper. Was the goal. And once we stepped across that boundary of becoming the world policeman,
Yes,
the world police country, to sustain peace in the world, so that we can live in freedom, and others can live in freedom if they wanted to. And we had all kinds of things happen in the rest of the 20th century that kept us involved, kept us deeply involved, deep pocket involved in Iran. And that turned against us in 79. We were involved in multiple. I mean, the Korean War was about freedom. The Vietnam War was really about freedom, although most people didn't really understand that everything was going to turn communist. And we pulled out, and guess what? Everything in that area turned communist. Right? So it happened. So how do you manage being a policeman in the world in the 21st century? We're not dealing in battleships anymore. We're aircraft carriers, moving them into different areas to show our force and to assist and guide and direct where we can. Involvement is one of those things that, let's call it a slippery slope. So once we started down that slippery slope in the 20th century and really did a good job of defending freedom, we won. The world won. The world was at peace for until, of course, Korea and Vietnam, but those were not world wars. Those were local wars to those areas, and did not turn into world wars. But now we're involved in local wars again. We were involved in local wars since 9/11. Afghanistan and Iraq, and we held our own and won the battle. But there was it was kind of wasn't a repeat of Vietnam, but it had some similarities where you can't fight an endless war, was how that was described.
Right, that's true.
Fighting forever. There's got to be, what's your goal? What's your end point? How do you get to the point where you hand off government to people that really are not they don't have the setup like we had in when our country became broke away from England. We were used to self rule. We liked self rule. Matter of fact, we liked it so much we told England go away, go away, Dad, even.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. So how do we decide what our involvement is to maintain world peace? And when it came to Ukraine, we obviously didn't want Ukraine to be overrun. So we thought, well, let's throw them some money, just like FDR before we got into World War II. He threw, he gave the European, England, old ships. So how then do we manage trying to decide what the line is to stop sending money to keep Russia from running Ukraine? That's a really hard answer. It's not like well, if we don't help them, they lose. Well, what happens then? Well, there's an imbalance that is created in the NATO alliance and what Russia is able to maintain in their control, and what would look like the old Soviet Union trying to reestablish itself is kind of what that looks like. So now we're looking at Israel dealing with atrocities like unto the Nazis, killing babies, killing the Jews.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just there was just random atrocities. When Hamas did their dirty deed, they had fake police and fake ambulances set up.
Yes.
So that when people came to get rescued and thought they were being rescued, they turned their guns on these people and shot them and killed them. They did. I can continue on that road, but there was many atrocities. This was what I would consider this was a demonic like evil deed where when you just hate people and just kill them because they're not your race, okay, and that is that's an atrocity. So what do you tell Israel? Don't defend yourself? I would think that if that happened in the United States, it happened in the United States. That's why they consider what Hamas did is Israel's 9/11, because so much terrible things happened that they had to respond. Did they give them adequate time? I think more than an adequate time to say, hey, we're coming.
Yeah, they did. They sure did. So my only issue with Ukraine is actually part of Russia. They're not an independent country. They're not a real country. Russia has every right to take it back. I'm saying this only because this is the truth. Just same with Taiwan. Taiwan separated from
China.
Was it China? Are they officially separated or not? I mean, there's Russians and there's Nazis. This happens, territory grabs and territory grab backs and everything.
Right.
So this is just, the whole history of the earth has been about property, taking other people's property. Ukraine, I think Ukraine is a money laundering scheme on top of everything else. You know why? How many hundreds of millions of dollars have we given them? And we don't give our homeless people anything. We bring in people from the south borders and we pay them. I can't remember what it costs or how much we're paying them. And now we're giving money to Israel, who has a sufficient army and air force. They don't need us over there. They don't need us at all. Those guys have the most modern stuff. And they even brought out, this is really funny because they brought out, besides the Iron Dome, they have this thing called a DEW, and they showed the picture of it, of the DEW, like direct energy weapons. They have pictures of it that they're going to use in the war. And I was like, no way. I thought that didn't exist. But they came right out.
Another science fiction movie, huh?
Yes. But as far as Ukraine has no chance. Ukraine has zero chance. If they give them the F-16s, it won't help one bit. Nothing's going to help them because the money's not going there. And it's just the proof is this: the money's going to the southern border. The money went to Hamas, or the weapons went to those places. So the whole thing is a sham. It's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's true. But it doesn't have to be in this opinion world.
I'm at a challenge point in how I'm understanding the concept to challenge Russia in a proxy war over there. I understand that some people believe that would be as beneficial, but I want to remind everybody of what happened with the Nazis during World War II. They thought they had Russia by the nose and by the ear.
Yep.
They pushed them back and pushed them back. And then this crazy thing happened in Russia called winter in the Soviet Union. It's horrific. And the Germans had not prepared. They thought they would just sweep across. Somehow they didn't learn history from Napoleon.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And you hit winter up there, and your supply chain is broken. Your ability to fight is broken because your men are freezing to death. So it became a war of attrition, and in the same region they're fighting. It's fascinating to hear some of those key points of interest that were also key points of interest during World War II, and how that all came about, if you remember, is the Ukrainian leadership wanted to align with NATO.
Yeah.
Well, that alignment no longer gives Russia the buffer zone that they had hoped that Ukraine would be to protect themselves from an incursion similar to what Hitler did and Napoleon did, right? So,
right.
I'm not an analyst for the finances and who gets the money and who's really winning the money battle, so to speak. But the way I look at it is that as a free country, we have there's two things. There's a focus on freedom, but then there's this weird focus on money. And again, I'm not a financial analyst, but where we spend our money, and I just wonder, and I think you've probably touched on some things on some of the scams that go on when money is handed off from the United States to other countries. I think we're all informed. We know that certain people that are in leadership in these foreign countries tend to have a means to getting a hold of that money or misusing that money. What do we do to how do you keep them accountable for that?
Don't give them money.
you don't give them money, right?
You give them weapons, they'll end up somewhere else too.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is a key point where going back to the previous administration that said, we're not just giving you money anymore. We want you to support what's going on in your region and support financially, however that would turned out. I would imagine that wasn't there wasn't the money laundering that there is now.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I'm going to call it a catch-22, Kevin.
Yeah.
Because you really darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. It goes back to being the world policeman.
Yes. Right.
And if we don't, and this is interesting. This is an interesting concept that China has been doing, is they have been pouring money into these small countries in Africa to gain certain resources, and they've enabled them and made it's kind of a weird setup. Like, if you want to keep getting money, you have to follow our rule. Right. And that's how they're setting themselves up to have control in certain areas and regions in Africa. And that to us, we've done it differently. We try to protect the Middle East, to protect oil and other things for our own purposes. And it gets sketchy, because the ethics of doing things in an honorable way is almost a 19th century concept. And I say that because if you look at our modern politics, integrity is almost the last thing on their mind.
Yes.
In leadership.
Yes.
And they're more. I mean, if you look at what kind of money politicians come out with in from Congress and in the Senate, it's atrocious in my mind, because it just is a sign of a lack of integrity, a lack of an ethical mindset that says there's a line that you cross when you use your office for personal financial gain, and that we have lost the concept that our officials in the United States should have integrity, or that our elections should have integrity. Wait, did I see someone stuffing ballots in that city? Did that really happen? Is that fake news? I don't think so. And again, we have turned, and going back to that ethics, we've turned that corner where, as a postmodern and quote unquote anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-Jew, we're heading down that path where the Bible, God's word, is no longer the guide for our not just our faith, but our practices. And I understand, not everybody out there has a taste for spiritual things. Got it. We're a free country. You don't have to. You don't have to follow God. But that's part of the challenge, is when you follow God and you follow His word, there's a path of ethos of right and wrong. And we as a country have begun to turn that on its head, where right is wrong and wrong is right. Now, I get it. Many, 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 many of our citizens in the United States still have strong ethics. But when it comes to people making major decisions for our nation, we're moving away from an established ethical, guided by good principles, not just law, but good principles of honesty and integrity. And it's more important that you get your point across, even if it's wrong, than to get to the truth and to get to the right answer. And it's really challenged our country, because those of us that still live by that standard of having a good ethic of what's right and what's wrong, and an established pattern of making right choices, has come to a point where we're not making the choices based upon right or wrong. It's rich or poor. It's what's good for the country, and what's good for my pocket. And I vote from my wallet and not from my head, and from the truth that I know. And it's really created I don't want to call it a vacuum, in where people no longer use their brains to vote; they use their heart. Well,
Yes.
yeah, okay, I understand. We all want to follow our heart, like Jiminy Cricket told us so many years ago. But what about following truth? And, well, you can't define absolute truth anymore. Are you
No.
absolutely sure about that? That you can't define absolute truth? Are you absolutely sure that you can no longer define absolute truth? Because you just defined an absolute there by saying there's no absolute truth. you kind of like tried to turn that on its head, if you notice, Kevin, because
Yeah, you're right. Because when you go to vote, when you see all these ads and you see this river of information, you know, it's both parties. They have their own information. They're feeding you. They're saying, well, Larry Elder isn't good enough for our thing. So all this stuff is going across your feeds and your life, and so you believe what you see more than you will. If it's easier to do that than it is to look into the specifics.
yeah, and it really, I would say that having moving into back into our country, and how it um, how it makes its choices as a nation on right and wrong, and how we part with our money, and give it to other countries. That lack of accountability is going to fall on its face on where it actually goes and what it actually accomplishes. And we can, it's like any, it's like we do at Christmas time, Kevin, and we have those little red kettles around, that with the guy ringing the bell. Used to have a Santa Claus,
Yeah,
no longer does,
right. Yeah,
because someone's offended by that. Um,
yeah. I'm
so
offended by their being
does it
offended.
it's like it makes us feel better if we give a couple nickels or couple quarters into a kettle that comes out of our pocket, our extra.
Yeah,
And it reminds me of a scriptural story where all these people are going to the temple, and they're donating this, certain things, and it's kind of a showy type thing where, hey, look at me, I'm giving to the temple, look how cool, how awesome, how godly I am. And Jesus points out this little old lady that gave 2 mites, which is equivalent to like giving 2 half pennies.
yeah,
But it was her entire living. And Jesus pointed out that she gave more because she gave everything that she had to God's temple. And we have this, and we've taken that same mindset that with the red kettle, and we've applied it politically, that if I give a little bit of money to Ukraine, and if I give money to people crossing the border, it's going to ease my conscience that I'm rich and they're not.
yes, right.
And that becomes again a judgment of the heart, and not right and wrong. If a person should be allowed in the country by certain standards, and you let everybody in willy nilly, there is a payday. There's a payday someday, and it's not going to be a payday in a good way, because you're allowing all kinds of criminals, all kinds of people that have no godly ethic whatsoever. Now, there are many good people. I'm not going to say every person crossing the border is, an evil heart. No, 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 no. What I'm saying is that even if you have 1,000 people that cross the border, and you have 5 people that are serial killers that you're not stopping, you're now driving murder into the United States unchecked until, oh, there's a pattern of all these people getting murdered. And it's, oh my goodness, then you figure out it's too late that this crazy person, 5 crazy people, have spread across different areas of the United States, and they're spreading their form of evil and hatred. So
it's like the Chinese.
So my concept, Kevin, is just to kind of summarize, is that it eases people's conscience to give money to Ukraine or give money to certain causes, because that again makes them feel better. When what we really should be doing is kind of call it Kennedy's kiddie course, and sending people out to help other countries mature in their business practices and develop, from a third world country into a country that can better finance itself and provide. And we've lost a lot of concepts in being able to make change in other countries, and thinking that if we just give it money, it'll take care of it. Obviously, just throwing money at things. 1960s was an incredible time of let's call it money laundering. And it's a terrible word, but we threw money at the perfect society, starting from Kennedy through Johnson, and we tried to throw money into all these avenues to help people. And what we ended up doing is we ended up hooking them like drugs on government handouts. Instead of teaching them to develop a skill set and go out and earn money, we taught them to wait at home for a check. And we lost the ability to discern how to help people become better citizens by choosing to do the right thing for yourself and your family by going to work instead of waiting for a paycheck. And then they tried to turn that around and say, make people accountable and do certain things. But, by the time 3 generations, 4 generations out, the kids are now also, and the grandkids are now hooked on a government check.
You nailed it. That's what's happening now. All these, like the stimulus checks, and you can get this disability or whatever. Yeah. People humans were made to work. So, and there's people that aren't working. Too many people.
Yeah, and it's the educational system has dwindled from a powerhouse educational system across the world to 24th in the world on math and English and all these important subjects. Like, we're English speaking people, and we don't know how to use our own language because it's not important enough. It's more important to teach other people, teach our children on unimportant, unuseful decision making that is irrelevant for their age.
Right.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the old story where if you give a man a fish, you fed him for the day, but if you teach a man to fish, you fed him for a lifetime. And we've gotten away. We've gone to the handout as the solution. And it, again, it started back in the '60s, and it just has continued. Now, I am all for compassion for the people who need it. I'm all for those that, hey, they've had a difficult hand. They have disabilities. Their back is out and gone. They don't have the ability to go to the shop and work anymore because they can't even stand in their own house, type things. I understand those. What I'm talking about is those that have the capability to go find a job, go get a job, and do the work, and be responsible. And we've made them irresponsible. Kevin, I got to go off camera for a minute. I'll be right back.
Sure.
I'm still listening.
Oh yeah, what Darren said is right. We do have these issues. Let's see here. We have these issues. Get this. So yeah, if you can work, that's your best bet. I mean, that opens up a lot of doors and work ethic, and you appreciate things that you buy instead of stuff given to you. If you're able, if you're not, I understand. It's not a big deal. But if you can, you're able-bodied. Um, Working's the best thing. I mean, you don't eat if you don't work. And the more that people hand things down, it's just incentive for you not to work. And that's not a good thing. So you have to be, it's just like all the animals, they work. Most countries, they work. And we have a lot of people right now that are not working. And we have a lot of migrants not working, but they're getting paid. So you think they're going to get a job? I don't think so. Not at all. If you're giving me, I can't remember what it was, somebody 500, maybe 2,000 a month for not doing anything, and all these people we have that don't have jobs. We're not taking care of our own people who are homeless. The least of these are not being taken care of. So
yeah, there's a amazing concept there on being able to help people learn a trade, help them develop the skill sets, and establish the pattern of doing those kind of things. Kevin, I'd like to introduce you to. There's a couple names here. We call him Big D. This is my son. I named him after me, so I can remember his name when I get older. It's already working for me. So, but Big D is also has a pen name, um, Owen Lee Grace, and
okay.
that is when you say that fast, it's only Grace.
Oh, nice. I like it.
So
Okay.
he is he had. I'm going to let him explain a little bit about himself and introduce
Sure.
himself a little bit more, if that's okay with you.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But Darren, go ahead and just tell them this is a listening audience of Mr. Kevin White, and invited us over to his show. And why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit and some about yourself and your disease a little bit, and then maybe in a little bit about your developing writing career.
Yeah, okay. So I was born with Duchenne muscular dystrophy in 1996. And
Can you hear okay, Kevin?
I can hear. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was actually the only year when Pennsylvania was testing for genetic diseases like Duchenne. And it was normal. Like childhood was normal until I was about 4, when I started having trouble using stairs, and that's when I found my mom told me that I had Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and even though I lost a lot of abilities like being able to walk and using my arms in normal fashion, I still keep a good attitude and try to be as productive as possible, and that's why I started writing books, writing Christian fiction, The first one is it's it's about it's basically about the end times, but with zombies in it, and it's called The Wall, and um, basically it's about the world government putting a wall around the United States, and then putting zombies inside to destroy the nation, basically. And
Wow.
it's about a character that goes through the whole thing. Uh, so, and I started writing the book in 2016, and it took me about 3.5 years to write it. And then luckily I found a publisher called Christian Faith Publishing, and they helped me publish it, giving me full rights, and basically I got to make all the decisions.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and so of course, I have my own publishing company, and yeah, I would love to publish that one for you. So, or the next one. Um, you're an inspiration, and your dad is a great guy. I'll just say that right now. He's very, very wise, very smart, and I know you are too. You're a son. So it's an honor to meet you. I've heard a lot about you, and I'm glad to have you on my program. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you can ask him any question on prophecy now. He's
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
he's
I,
I'm gonna say he studied it.
I've read through Revelation quite a few times. So.
Yeah, so he's trying to incorporate. He's writing a trilogy on this.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that was his first part of the trilogy.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's working through the book of Revelation with the characters in his book, and they're living out some of the challenges, albeit there are the Walking Dead zombies involved, which is just a kind of, that's why it's kind of a fun, it's a fun read, a fun way to incorporate something that's very popular. One of the things Kevin and I did years ago is, my son always loved watching The Walking Dead, and I did not like it, and I did not understand. I'm like, why do you watch that stuff? It's gross, it's gory. He's like, Dad, I don't focus on the gory stuff. I like watching the survivor story. I'm a survivor, and this intrigues me. And so that really helped me understand why he liked it, and that's why he's brought that into his book writing. As he understands the survivor aspects in real life, and so he likes that aspect to his books.
So congratulations on your book. Where can I get it?
It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Okay, great.
And it's in ebook form as well for people that prefer ebooks.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called The Wall, and it's written by, you'll find it under Owen Lee Grace.
Exactly. Okay. I'm gonna have to write that down. That is a cool name. The Wall. Yeah, I will order that. I can't wait to read it.
It was very fascinating to hear his title. It was especially interesting because he started writing that and naming that when they were still fighting about building a wall down south. And,
right.
So you kind of get this original concept was you're talking about the wall down south. No, this is a different concept of a wall that's being established to either keep zombies in or keep them out.
Yeah, I had somebody that I was thinking about publishing. He did a zombie book. It was fascinating. The guy from England, but having the foreign influence or the foreign connections with my job, we decided we couldn't do it. So that was the only reason. So, yeah, I'm going to order that book, and I like to have it autographed.
Oh yeah, I have a special signature stamp that I can use.
Okay, awesome. Yes, thank you. Sounds very exciting.
Thank you.
It's a fun read, but it's interesting. It's got some depth in spiritual matters, and it addresses modern challenges and issues and concerns that we deal with in our society. And so it definitely is, not just a fun read, but it's got some insight spiritually that I liked about it, that I thought was a great, it's got depth to it in the sense of spiritual aspects.
Right.
So definitely something that, when when people read it, there's it's written by a Christian with Christian concepts and truths.
There's also a lot of science fiction in it because
Oh, yeah. Okay.
2065, so it's 40 years.
Oh, oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah.
So it's
that's
like Orwell writing 1984 back in the day, right?
I cannot wait to read that now. So beautiful. I like that. Very imaginative. Fantastic. Okay. So I'll buy one. I'll have it autographed, and then then I'll put it up on my book wall over here
All right.
after I get done reading it.
Cool.
So thank you so much. So it's great. It's great to have fellow authors. That means a lot. You put a lot of time into it, a lot of thought, and you made it happen. So that's a big accomplishment by itself.
Well, we need to buy your book and get it signed.
Can do that. Can do that, no problem. So okay. So do you keep copies, or I can order it? It's not a problem.
Yeah, you can order it. It's just the Amazon. It's kind of like an Amazon. When you order it, they print it out and
Yes.
at that
Right.
point and send it. I don't think there's a lot. We don't have any copies at the house here, do we?
No.
We probably need to buy some more.
Do you have the rights to get the author copies? Do you have the rights to the mechanism? If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So do you have KDP?
Yeah, it's copyrighted.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have KDP? That's what you use to build the book with, to publish it. So you can talk to your publisher and see if you can get a discount on it, because there's a big discount on those if they send one to you. Anyway, just my thoughts.
Yeah,
So
I'll
it's
have
all
to
PDF
talk to
anyway.
you more on that offline sometime, Kevin.
Yes, sure. Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. I really this is like the perfect show. This is a great thing we got here. So a wonderful family believes in God, and we're trying to do the right thing. We can't do it all by ourselves, right?
That's right.
We need each other.
Yeah,
So-
and the Lord right along with us to help us have the right impact in the right places.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is I like this. This is really cool. So this is like this is the unexpected guest kind of thing, and it's awesome. It's so awesome. You're a great young man. And not many people can do what you've done already at your age. So
Not easy. Kevin. One of the things I like to highlight for Big D is when we originally found out back in '96 that he had Duchenne muscular dystrophy. They told us he wouldn't live past 17,
wow.
18 years old. And he had a friend whose parents abandoned him. Actually, it was Darren's friend. I didn't know him. But his parents abandoned him. So by the time he was adopted, it was too late for some of the medications that Darren received when he was 4, 5, 6 years old. And so by the time the young man found out about those, and his adopted parents found out, it was too late. And he unfortunately passed away at 17. And I tell that sad story because we get to celebrate every day in
Yes.
Darren's and Big D's opportunity to live past that original prognosis. And just this past September, we celebrated his 10th year past his prognosis, Kevin. That
That's
is
really,
remarkable.
that's amazing.
Now,
Yes.
I would love to take all the glory for that, but I'm not,
You
because
can.
that was his mom and the doctors and the Muscular Dystrophy Association and their research over the years, and the Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy, and all the researchers that have been working to find a cure for this incredibly challenging disease.
Right.
It's Darren's there's not a cure for him. There are others that are younger where they are finding some opportunities to help them. But it's amazing. There's a popular song out there back in the, I think it was like the either the late, I think it was the early 2000s. Diamond Rio, I think, wrote it or sang it. One more day, and
Yeah.
had a wish, one more day with you, and so we get to live that dream every
Yeah.
day,
Yes.
and with all the challenges, of course, because Darren, has multiple physical challenges,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have brain challenges. He's a smart cookie, and that's why he was able to write the books. He's written two. He's working on his third, and we don't have the second published yet, so we'll let you know about that one. But
Sure.
maybe talk to you about publishing that one.
Yeah. Yeah. We always look forward to those kind of things. I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, because we have one right now. We have two or three we're working on right now. So,
Awesome. Yeah, he has a publishing business. So I think I mentioned that to you before.
so we've got our, yeah, I'm not plugging, but we have, we're moving to a more aggressive marketing campaign. So, um, with, we're using influencers next. So, not the millions, but the 100,000. So
Right.
that's what we want to, yeah.
Good.
So we're changing our strategy a little bit. We'll see how that goes, and we can do that with old books as well. Then we also do. I did a second edition of my book just to add stuff to it.
Good.
So it's got me pretty far. I'm very happy with it. So, but we want to do the same for everybody. If our clients are successful, then we are successful too. So that's the whole point.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Right. So we want everybody to succeed, and that's our goal. That we're selective, but this right here, this book sounds. I can't wait to read the book, and then see what you have next. So just leave it at that for right now.
Copy
So.
that.
So I'll probably order that tonight or sometime soon. So
Good.
maybe tomorrow. So I appreciate that.
We appreciate
I
you.
wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget. Okay.
Yeah.
Not as brilliant as you two. You guys are brilliant.
Yeah. My memory ain't what it used to be, sir.
So let me see here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. If you have anything else to say, you can, or anything you want to talk about.
So let me ask Darren Paul,
Sure.
Big D. Let me ask Big D. What's your perspective on all the stuff going on over in Israel, and how you see that, whether it's playing out in prophecy or it's just a what. Provide us your perspective. That's part of the opportunity
right.
with this.
Yes.
Provide your perspective. Go ahead.
Well, obviously, since it's considered their own 9/11, it is kind of. I didn't expect to see a lot of anti-Semitism that we've seen even just in America and around the world. But I mean, I know God's in control, and this is, but it is
It's
the way the colleges have, well, the way Hamas has sent people to the universities to promote their ideology of getting rid of Israel, and
Yes.
but the good I did like to see that there was a big march, pro-Israel march on Tuesday afternoon at in DC, and that made me feel a little better. But it's it's just yeah.
yeah. I think it it's it's like when we allowed those individuals that flew the planes into the Twin Towers and into the Pentagon, we trained them. They used
Yes.
our freedoms and our system of liberty against us. And what is there's a couple things that are annoying about that. But one is that we again are turning over our liberties to people who they don't want us to have our liberties. They don't want Israel to have their liberties, but they want to use our liberties against us. And it's a strange potion. It really is. And again, having the right kind of leadership that can pinpoint that and say, you know what, I understand you have perspective on your culture and your race, but we're not for destroying Israel, and we're not. People need to make a stand on that, but
Right.
it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch those things. So what I think Darren Paul is the big D is trying to highlight is just that um, the animosity that they're building in on the college campuses is one of those. It's kind of like a um, the wellspring, so to speak, where you impact the people where the young minds can be persuaded in wrong perspectives, and that's that we as a nation and with the foundation of our homes need to teach our young people the difference between right and wrong and understanding those things.
And basically, they've convinced a whole generation that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinians, when the reality is, they're calling it a slow genocide, but in reality, the population of Palestine has increased 3 times
Wow.
over since 1980. So if they're committing genocide, they're doing a really bad job at it.
Right.
Yeah, I love his perspective.
Yes.
He really throws the truth in there.
Yes.
Like, you can't argue with that.
No.
What kind of genocide is it when your population increases by 3 times in the last years? That's it's just again, the atrocity is the perpetuation of these false type of indoctrinations where they drive people to understand their perspective in a false tone, a false pretense, and that is where we have got to take a stand. Unlike those in Germany who were not willing to stand up and not willing to speak against Hamas or Hitler for that type of individual who would want to exterminate the Jews. But again, a reminder, that's Satan's plan. God's plan is a salvation plan for for Israel, but all the world. And so we have we have something where again Satan has taken the opportunity to teach people lies and live by a lie, and that's you want to understand Satan. His entire goal is to get people to believe a lie and live by it.
Right. Yes. So speaking of that, Big D, you mentioned colleges. Those are the breeding grounds of communism and other things like that, and things that are un-American. So yeah, and I graduated from Wright State in '17. It was the worst. It was so bad there. It was all about being communist and people fighting against whole country, and our democracy was wrong, and capitalism was not the way. It was communism. And Bernie Sanders got a big presence. People were voting for him at the time, so we wanted to vote for him. And free stuff for everybody. So it's degrading our work ethic and our society. Same thing with why would you have? And the students are very susceptible to that, except for the rural kids. The urban kids are all in. A lot of them are. So, and now you're talking about Hamas and this thing about the deadly, the crazy stuff they're talking about. We're talking about killing people and death, and the students the professors are helping them do this. The professors are right in on it. It's a bad situation, and they start at the schools and they end up in college, and then you become a different person when you graduate because you need that grade. It's terrible. So I never compromise in college because I'm the older guy. I'm the old guy in the class, right? So I don't care what the professor says or the students think. So it was me and a couple other guys who pushed back on this stuff because it wasn't right. You can't just let that go by, right?
Right.
So I don't believe in abortion, and I made that clear in one of my classes. I had to because, and that. So yeah. I said, hey, pro-life is one thing, pro-death. That's what abortion is, pro-death, and they didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
But my professor said, she said, "What do that's what you believe?" I said, "Yeah." I said, well, "So what do you think the class? What do you think about the class thinks about that?" I said, "I was in the military for 30 years. I don't care what they think. Why would I care?"
Right.
Why would I care about what you think? I'm my own person. I don't go by what the media says or anything else. I go by what I believe.
Well, Kevin, that's part of the challenge is
Yes.
that where I described earlier in the conversation is that we've moved from using our mind and our brain to following the heart. And
Right.
not
Yeah.
following the heart is wrong.
Yes.
But the concept is that you obliterate truth to instill a concept of murder, and die into another genocide. Oh man,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a whole different show.
Yes.
Kevin. So I'm going to stop there because otherwise I'll go on for another hour.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's another show. You got other communities like the Black community and a lot of the poor communities. I mean, they use those abortion clinics like as a convenience, and it's really sad. But they set that up on purpose, and yeah, the whole thing's a setup from the 1960s, like you were talking about earlier. This is why we're here. The Great New Society has brought us to this point. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, we have to do another show. As a matter of fact, yeah, we need to get you set up for Monday show when you're ready. Just let me know. and we'll get you on. So
All right.
we'll go through the motions to the studio stuff and everything. We'll move that offline. So but I appreciate you all coming on. It's great to meet you, Big D. I've heard so many things. Your father is so proud of you. So, yes.
For sure. Well, Kevin, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for allowing my son, Big D, Owen Lee Grace, his
Yes.
pen name, to join us today. And
Wow.
we've talked about starting our own show, so you're having an influence on us.
Okay, great,
and,
great.
Looking forward to some opportunity where we can do some of these simulcasts or podcasts
Yes.
as well. So
Right.
something we'll need to research and learn a little bit more about and find a better setup for than me holding it with my hand so I can keep
Yes.
starting.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we'll take care of that. Yeah, I'll let you know what the standard stuff is and how that works, and we'll get into that. When you're ready, let me know. I'm upstairs. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, and have a good evening, you two. Darren and Darren, have a good time. And we'll see you soon.
Well, thanks again. We enjoyed the opportunity and look forward to having other opportunities to share not just about their Big D's experiences and challenges,
Yeah.
but overcoming those challenges and
Yes.
some other opportunities to share our faith and to share our perspective.
It's a miracle. That's what it is. It's a miracle. Well, it's a living miracle. All right. Thank you. Very good. Oops.
Let you go, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Big D and Darren are out.
All right. All right. Out. Great. Okay. So now, okay. Yeah. This is it. End of the show. I got stuff to do, y'all. This is the only thing I got so many things going on. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's go with the brand here. And let's close out with this song. Here we go. So it's it for the show and Blog Talk Radio. Anyway, signing off. If you want to stay, okay, reading the news here. All right, so catch you again next week, Wednesday at 7:00 usually. I think I'm going to interview Chief Company Officer. So we'll get to that. And look out for Owen Grace Lee, his book, The Wall. So I'll be pushing it. I'm going to get that and I'll show it to you guys and everything. And we'll go from there. All right, thank you very much. Good night.